Brought to you by Xander Insurance. Compare rates from top term life insurance companies in seconds at Xander.com.
My husband and I are newly married, about 6 months. We were both previously married. I was married for 26 years, and he was married for 7. And both of us, through our relationships, it's like we both had financial infidelity by our partners. So I found out that my ex-husband had been lying to me about money for well over 15 years. And then his ex-wife, she left him and then he's a farmer, so that they have a large farm, and she tried to take the whole farm. So there's been a lot of infidelity there on the financial side. So both of us have these deep fears of combining finances from, previous relationship.
Sure.
We don't know how to handle moving forward financially together, biblically speaking.
What do you mean, biblically speaking?
Well, I know from listening to your guys' podcast, you say the two shall become one, and that includes finances. And there is just a lot of fear there with combining, and afraid that you're going to get what you got before, and that you're going to find out, oh my gosh, this person who I was supposed to be able to trust was lying to me. And then his side of the fence is, well, if I open up to her and I tell her what's actually going on with finances, she's gonna mess me over and take me to the cleaners again.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
I get what you're saying. Here's what I would say right out of the gate. I actually think if I were in your shoes, and I understand the trust issues, so what's going on with both of you is very natural. It's very normal. I think you guys got to get with a therapist without question and work through this. But I would tell you that just practically speaking, I think that the fact that you have your finances merged and shared actually creates greater accountability for both, right? So that the trust at least has some type of transparency. Now, just because you share accounts doesn't mean that financial infidelity isn't happening. However, one big step going forward to me is, okay, there are no separate accounts, and we both see what's in there. And even just getting into an every dollar budget and beginning to look where every dollar is being spent, all of that begins to create so much transparency that trust is in some way a byproduct. I'm not in any way saying that therapy doesn't still need to happen, because Rachel, I want to get your thoughts on this, because I do think this is we need a good therapist to help us both heal, because they've both had this trauma.
Yeah, I mean, you've both been burned, by the exact same issue from an ex-spouse. So yeah, Christy, I mean, you're not crazy by any means for this to be so heightened and so aware. But I would also just challenge you that the man you chose to marry, and that you chose at the altar and said those vows, what caused you to say yes to him? What were those things?
I only recommend term life insurance because it's simple, affordable coverage. And you should get it only from Xander Insurance, because they work for you, not the insurance companies. Xander compares all the top term plans to save you money, so you don't get ripped off with insurance that they market like a so-called investment. Term from Xander is the only life insurance I would get from my family. It's all I've ever bought and all I've ever recommended. Go to Xander.com or call 800-356-4282.
What caused you to say yes to him? What were those things?
He loves Jesus big. And I respected his walk with Christ and who he was. His character was so good. And he was different than anybody else I had met.
Yeah. So I think what can happen is our emotions and from our past, it's almost like a neuro pathway in our brains, right? Has been formed for you that with money, it's like, don't trust. And over time, you are going to have to build a new way of trusting. And I think even leaning on kind of just those facts of what you just told me, Christy, like this man is not your ex-husband. And I know me just saying that doesn't wipe away all the emotion, but just you have to trust yourself as well. And I think when people get blindsided by a spouse, whether it's financial infidelity, an affair or something, there's almost that fear of, I can't even trust myself. How did I miss it, right? You're probably asking yourself, how did I miss it for 15 years, right? So you're thinking about that. And so I would say trust yourself, Christy, because you chose someone to do life with. And so again, I would talk to a therapist, because that trust string isn't going to just be tied to money. it's going to come out in other parts of your marriage where you probably have a level of that wall. And why we say to combine finances, yeah, I would say from a spiritual perspective, I think it's wise, but it's also, again, whether you're spiritual or not, the data shows couples that combine finances not only have a higher level of happiness, but there's also a depth of complete intimacy that when you say, I said yes to this person and I chose to lock arms with them and take on the world together, when you do that in just this like fullness together, you enjoy life together more than trying to keep everything separate and compartmentalized, if you will. So again, from a spiritual aspect, yes, but I would say it's even bigger than a spiritual aspect. I think people that aren't spiritual find this level of depth in their marriage when they choose to work as a team.
Well, because you're right, because of again the word we've been talking about, which is trust. Christy, I want to dig a little bit. We've kind of told you what we thought. You've been listening. I'm curious. Are you both? Would you say you both are at the same level of distrust of each other, even though you're probably happily married in every other area? Describe for us where you are and where he is on the particular issue of trust of each other and money right now. How would you describe that?
Well, on his side of the fence, he farms with his dad, so that's a family business, generational, and so we also have a mix on his side of the fence of fear from the whole family.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get that. That makes us even.
Can I jump in here, Christy? Christy, can I jump in? Okay, we never talk about prenups. It's almost never conversation, I feel like, around here with prenups, unless there's a few caveats. One of them is if there is an excessive amount of wealth, there's a level of just protection there. But then the other one is kind of what you're talking about, Christy, for him at least. If there is some level of a family business, because we've talked to people like this where they get divorced and the ex still has voting stock in the company, and then he gets remarried to someone crazy, and now all of them are still speaking into the ex's family, and it's affecting other people. So this may be a conversation that you have with him of that specifically, that farm, because it is tied to other people in the family. That domino effect is very real for them to be protected in that sense with the farm, through some level of prenup. So again, we say almost never a prenup, but there are situations that make sense because it's protecting other people as well. So that may be something on his side towards you, right? This would be for you to sign.
Actually, we did. We did sign a prenuptial agreement, so I actually volunteered to sign one.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I said when we were dating, I said, I'm feeling like that there's something here, and I said, if you need a piece of paper, then give it to me and I'll sign it, because I don't want anything from you except
that's huge. That had to create a lot of trust for him. That had to be huge.
Well, there's still some walls there. I can sense that he doesn't want to open up to me too much yet. And and from my perspective of having that been violated on my side of the fence, I completely understand it. I'm like, as you should be. Well, you should be worried.
I got to say, Christy, I think you guys are on the way. I believe marital counseling here, because neither one of you were the bad guys. You're both victims. That's an interesting combination, and a professional will get you guys the tools that you can heal. I think you commit big time to some serious therapy, one time a week maybe, and let's dive into this and come out on the other side, and then I think you guys will get there. Really, really interesting call. Thanks for trusting us.
If anyone depends on your income, you need affordable term life. Never cash value insurance. Visit Xander.com today for quotes.